Hello and welcome to Becoming Abundant podcast. I am your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and this is our side of the internet where we get to speak about true abundance, personal authority, emotional optimization, and the pure power of alignment, all while living in the presence and guidance of God Himself. I am a holistic coach and mentor focusing on healing the emotions keeping you stuck so that the mind and body can align and live a limitless life. We all have a mission and a purpose, and I am here to help you unchain from what's been holding you back to actually live in your full potential. Think of it as transformative triggering in the best possible way. The time has come to live a life you love. Let's dive in. Hello, hello, my darlings, and welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Anna. I'm very excited to be here because today is a very special episode. As I was mentioning in our previous chats together, I will be speaking to you today about my testimony back to Christ. And before we dive into that, I want to celebrate all of you amazing listeners out there who have taken the time out of your day to respond to the homeworks from the previous two sessions that we've had together. And the amount of love and honesty and vulnerability has been so inspiring. I celebrate each and every one of you for taking this whole new journey into becoming abundant very seriously. And I love you and I celebrate you. You totally rock. It's absolutely amazing seeing how much it already impacts so many lives for me to be speaking on here. So thank you for that. It means the world to me. And I actually want to point out that while anger was one of the main topics we spoke in our previous episode, I didn't expect for you guys to resonate so much to it. And yes, a few of you even mentioned how anger used to be your emotional home as well. And you've done so much work to be out of that. So I commend you and I celebrate you for taking the steps to learn something different, to learn a different way of life. And the fact that anger is such an easy and accessible emotion proves that we're very little taught how to manage our emotions. And because of that, it gives me even more fuel to do what I do here, which is to teach you all about managing emotions, exploring the depths of your psyche, the depths of your personality, of the amount of growth you get to do when you're fully aligned with who you really are, teaching you all about your true personal authority, which is grand, and talking about anger and emotional management and all of that is actually the journey that brought me all the way here. Knowing the things that I know now is because I was in my younger years, when I was a child, when I was a teen, I was beyond not able to manage my emotions, to understand them, to be my own personal authority. And that led me to not believing God because my version of understanding God at that age was the church. And when things got really dark for me, things got very out of hand, emotionally speaking, when I dealt through my whole teenage and young adult years with very deep and dark episodes of depression, of dissociation. And for those of you who don't know what that is, whenever your mind starts dissociating from your body, it's because it's trying to numb out your reality because the reality feels too painful. And whenever that happens, the body gets very numb. And if you are someone that feels a lot, feels emotions a lot, feels experiences a lot, it will feel like you do not belong in your body. So that is what I was going through from probably when I was 10 or 11 all the way up to last year. So that's a giant spectrum of years living with something that doctors did not know how to handle. The church that I was belonging to back in Romania didn't know what to offer to help me more. So I felt constantly like everything was disappointing me because the teachers and preachers and priests in the church community had a different kind of approach that didn't resonate with me. If you belonged to an Orthodox Christian community, you know they tend to have a certain strict aspect. Maybe not all of them. Maybe it was just my church. But my church had a different strict way of approaching God, where it's only through them that you can reach God. And when the men failed me to feel safe in that church because I was bringing emotional experiences that didn't make sense to me, then I saw and thought that God had failed me. So I pulled back. And as I was pulling back from all of that quote unquote indoctrination of religion, I pulled back from God. Now, disclaimer, this is my experience, so take it with a grain of salt. This is my experience, so it doesn't mean it's right for everyone, but it is my experience. And I pray that this meets someone that needs it. Because, fast forward to now, things are much better. So let me walk you through everything. So we had the dissociation episodes happening many times throughout the years, happening to the point of I felt lack of control over myself. So that's where the anger kept creeping in because it gave me some form of false sense of control. And when you have that sense of control, even though it's burning you and destroying you from the inside, it gives you a tiny bit of hope. And when you don't have faith, hope is the next best thing that can keep you alive. So we were focusing on that. I also wanted to understand from a psychological point of view what was actually happening in my mind. So I became absolutely obsessed with how the mind functions, how meditation helps you control your mind and thoughts, how emotions get caught up in the experiences, how can you create some form of control over emotions. I became an absolute nerd when it comes to everything mind and emotion connected to the body. I got very involved into the new age community from my young adult years up until maybe 2 years ago, when it literally felt like I was getting some form of sense of control over my life. I became a Reiki practitioner, later a Reiki master, where I got to initiate other people in the art and science of Reiki. For those of you who don't know, Reiki is an energy healing practice stemmed from Japanese tradition. I got into Reiki because a few years prior to this, my mom and I went to a therapist for me to have some form of help because it felt like I was losing control over myself. And while the therapist didn't actually understand what was going on with me, he tried helping me relax my body and put me in hypnosis states of a paralyzed body in order for me to feel some form of relief. Where, if you know anything about dissociation, if the body feels paralyzed, it just stems even more episodes of not controlling your body going into numbness. So that was very interesting and very unhelpful. Then we had an experience of my family doctor at the time prescribed me antidepressants, and what they actually did were not heal my depression, but because of my body weight and the way my metabolism processes medication, it actually put me in a state of sleep for 12 straight hours without the ability of waking up for the whole straight 12 hours. And I remember, like, now I'm laughing because it's so funny how when you don't know how to take care of a patient, you get to basically destroy someone's life and hope in medicine or therapy or church or God because of your lack of awareness. So I did the antidepressants for about 2 weeks. And because they put me to sleep for 12 straight hours without being able to wake up, they also, in my dreams, I had very highly vivid dreams where I was in a depressive dissociation episode where I was constantly feeling like I was dying, but not dying and not being able to wake up from the dream. So 2 weeks later, lots of weight lost in the process. I told my mom, we're done with this. I'm done with it. And that led me to Reiki. Fast forward a few months, I became a Reiki practitioner and then through the years, Reiki master, and very highly involved in the metaphysical new age industry that has such insane gatekeeping that I can tell you it will be my mission in life to wake a lot of people up out of that facade of sense of control that the new age industry is trying to offer people, but it's not. And when I went down the rabbit hole of new age, it gave me a false sense of control. It gave me a sense of I'm able to hear spirits. I was into tarot, into crystals, into energy work, into working with spirits. Now, as a newborn Christian, I can tell you, hand on heart, if you're in that industry and you think you're speaking with spirits that you believe want what's good for you, make sure you know what you're doing because there is a lot of lie and deceit in the spirit world. Being in the new age world gave me a false sense of hope, of control, but it also opened up quite a few cans of worms. Let's call them that, shall we? Now, these cans of worms were when you don't know what you're working with everything that is available. And in the new age space, you have a lot of negative forces available to you that give you the sense of we're benevolent spirits and we want to help you. But that comes as a price. And no, I didn't sign any contracts with the devil. Thank God for that. I didn't dive into anything too dark. I liked to call myself a white witch, which was very borderline. I am still somewhat of a Christian, but I don't go to church anymore. And I do believe there's a God, but he failed me and all of that. So many experiences have happened. I've worked a lot with all sorts of energies that, because of my awareness of how close I used to be with God before the church failed me, I knew how that felt and I knew certain energies were not okay. And so the time that Jesus actually came to save me was during a dream. My family and I were very involved in a community here in Calgary where I didn't know at the time, but there was a certain demon in that building that felt me. I didn't know it would feel me as a person to be controlled, but it did. And during my time there, I opened up a lot of my energy to understand the energies of the building and thinking that I can control the demon and all of that. Little did I know that the demon itself was very aggressive. I started feeling it in trainings and feeling it around me, kind of lurking. Very creepy, very crazy. And one night in a dream, I remember walking into this building and there was a doorway on the right and stairs up to go to the second level to a different room. And in this dream, the demon was on the right in the doorway. And I thought, because I was taught that you have control, you are the master of your universe, you. Because that's what you're taught in New Age. It's all you. Everything is you. You don't need to worry about anything. You are the one having access to all this power. And I wanted to say something to the demon, to cast it out, to learn from it, to understand why it was there. And that moment, swear to you, Jesus Christ came at the base of the stairs and said, "No, you do not need to worry about this. I will take care of him. You need to go upstairs." And upstairs, there were angels. So I started walking towards that light and I woke up. But when I woke up, I realized that the community is not for us. I do not need to deal with demons, other people's demons and other people's energies by myself. And that Jesus never left me. In all the darkness, in all the failures, in all the madness that I went through, he was always there. I just didn't hear him. Because when you're locking yourself from perceiving the God frequency, when you are closing yourself up because of how people hurt you, because they didn't know better, they didn't do better, and you blame God for what people did, you're missing the point. And I missed the point for so many years. I went down the deepest, darkest rabbit holes I could in order to find a way to control my emotions and control the darkness that kept pulling at me back in dissociation, back in depression, all of those evil energies that were tugging away at my soul because I opened the door to them. But then Jesus came back for me. And that's when my family and I decided to explore life better, more together. So we jumped on our RV travels and experience. And that is when God bless my son. We were in Florida. I was in Florida for an event, and my son made friends because he loves making friends. And we didn't meet the parents more than hi, and that's it. But the following year, my dear Patrick wanted to meet the kids again. So we planned to connect with the parents in the same RV spot. And little did I know then that it would be the saving grace for me and my family to get back to Christ completely, because my son's friends' parents were very similar to us, very open, very aware of life as it is. And the mother, my dear, dear friend now, the mother of the kids, on one of our walks told me, "Hey, we go to a local church here, and it's not like a regular church. It's actually called a non-denominational Christian church. So why don't you guys come and see if you like it?" I can say I completely fell in love with it. And I realized that the church I used to know is not the church that speaks about your relationship with Christ, where Christ is just yours present, to have a conversation with him, that Christ is there to walk you out of your darkness when you say, hey, I need to do this. God gave us free will, and he will never step in if we do not allow him to. Even though many times, I swear, he was there, even though I was rebelling against him, just nudging and guiding. So we went to church and we loved it, and it was amazing. And my dear friend told me on another one of our walks, hey, I'm going to get baptized again in the ocean because I want to fully commit my life to Jesus again, because now I understand him better and I understand what this relationship needs to be like. And for me, it was the biggest aha moment that I knew the time has come to wash away everything, all the years of darkness, all the heaviness, all the pain, all the madness that I had gone through, all the dissociation and all the depression and all the anxiety and all the hurt that I was carrying for so many years. And I said, hey, I'd love to get baptized too at sunrise in the ocean by your husband who used to be a pastor. So let's do it. And there we were. And God, this makes me emotional every time I think of it. And I have to thank my friend for completely showing up like that. And I have to thank Jesus for bringing her and them, all of them, into our lives and my life. Because as I was walking with her husband, holding my hand, we were walking through the waves to get to a point where the water was deep enough to do the baptism. And I swear I cannot remember what he said because there was so much noise in my head it felt like all the noise of 35 damned years were there in my head. And all that noise, I remember holding my nose and holding my arm so he can put me through the waves and back out. And all that noise was so loud, I couldn't even hear him. But I went under the waves and it got silent. And it got so quiet and peaceful that nothing else mattered. And I even see it now, the waves and the sunrise and the light behind the waves. And it felt like time stood still. And I remember watching the video because my friend took a video of the whole experience. And I saw the video. It was like, Anna up, Anna down in the waves, and Anna back up. I don't know, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. It felt like 35 years were left there. And I still have goosebumps talking about this. And it happened this spring, this March. And life has never been the same since. Because after that, the noise was never there. The peace that my baptism brought was the peace that I was hungry for 35 years. It felt like I never knew warmth like that and peace like that. I never knew I was that cold until I touched warmth. And after that, I realized that all of us need to experience it. Not just the baptism itself, but coming back to Christ. So if my brand had to shift into a Christian focused approach, a God focused approach, in order for me to speak the truth that I know now, then be it. So I committed to not only teaching people how to manage their emotions and how to control their minds, but how to grow closer to our Creator and how to shed the need of control that creation brings as an illusion. Because when I surrendered to Christ, everything fell into place. I'm not saying I have life easy now. I'm not saying that there won't be turmoils and tribulations and challenges and lessons. I've had many of those in the past 6 months, 8 months since the baptism, but I'm no longer alone. I am no longer alone, and He is always there. Whenever it gets hard, whenever it gets busy in my mind, I remember that peace I felt under the waves, and time stands still, and nothing touches me after that. And I have clarity, and I have faith, and I have consistency in my life because I get all of those from Him. I do not need to have anything because He provides everything. So when we came back to Calgary, I remember my husband saying, we need to find a church here that is the same, that brings us the peace. So we found an amazing church at Calgary Life Church. The pastors are amazing. My son absolutely loves going to Sunday school there. And we find peace every Sunday in the sermons because it's not about the community and what we bring there, but it's about how we make space for the miracles to happen. And actually, the space for the miracles will be one of the next episodes because I have a whole story for you about that. But as I conclude my testimony, this is me reminding you that if you're in a deep, dark place, you do not need to walk through all of that by yourself. And despite your religion or beliefs, know that, yes, you can always find Christ. Yes, you can always find support in the people that walk with that light. And I commit my journey to be the light and the salt that lights you up and preserves your faith and your true nature and your truth because you are worth it. Because if I was worth saving after so many years of pain and struggle, you are worth it too. So, that being said, the homework for today's episode is, what do you believe in? Share with us, what do you believe in? Share with us, what is your faith looking like? What is something that you're struggling with that you might need help with? And see where your faith takes you. And send it in an email to info@becomingabundant.net, or send it in a DM in any of my socials that you can find on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, at I am becoming abundant. And make sure, my darling, darling listeners, that if it resonates with you, you share it with some of your family and friends. If you want to be part of our community even deeper, we are doing a 30-day challenge to becoming abundant over on my Instagram. So come join us. I share homeworks and beautiful insights every day for my whole birthday month of September. Because, yes, I am a Virgo and proud of it. So, my loves, I hope and pray this message found you well. I hope and pray that you know you are loved and you are worthy and you are enough. And until next time, may you be blessed, and may peace, love, and mercy be multiplied to you. I love you. Take care, and God bless. Bye.